Something else that we can change in our preferences are the hotkeys that we use when operating Unity. If we come under Edit, jump down to Preferences, and go all the way over to the Keys tab, we have a list of all of the different operations that are attached to some form of hotkey, and we can change these out for any other key on the keyboard, and we can add modifiers such as Control, Alt, and Shift. Now, in a straightforward sense, that's very easy to understand. I mean, if you want to come in here and change this, but I do want to throw out a little tip. The menu here is, it's almost like pseudo context sensitive, in that obviously if you've been using Unity for a little while, you'll notice there are operations here which do have hotkey standards that aren't listed, and that's because we haven't actually fired up those options yet. So if I select, for instance, my terrain, and you'll notice when we're working in terrain mode, we have all of these tools like raise and lower and set height. And as I mentioned in a previous video when we were building our level, these have their own hotkeys. For instance, we can hit Shift W, and that's going to go to the set height tool. Shift Q will go to raise and lower. Shift E for smooth. Shift R for paint texture. Shift T for tree. And Shift Y will take us to paint detail. But those weren't listed a second ago in our keys. However, now that we have come into this window, if we go back into Edit and go down to Preferences, jump over to Keys, now those are listed. Like I said, it's kind of context sensitive. Not really. If we jump out of terrain, these keys will stay here. It's really just a question of what have you accessed in this session. I think the general mindset is don't load it if you don't need it. Or another way to look at it is at some point you're going to realize you'll be using something and be like, oh, you know, I'd love to change the hotkey for this. And if you're working like that, then this will never be a problem.
Right. It's just a way to reduce the set of keys that you see when you first open it up. Otherwise, if they were to load every possible thing that you could assign a hotkey to, it would overload you probably at the beginning.
That's right. So, I mean, we can come in here to like the set height tool, and you can see that is set to Shift W. So the Shift modifier is selected, and it's attached to the W key. Very straightforward. If you're playing with all your hotkeys and you eventually do something you don't like, of course, you can just click on Use Defaults, and that will reset everything. But that is a really quick look at adjusting your hotkeys. That is going to wrap things up for this video, as well as for our list of preferences. So, thanks a lot.